pretty standard. Inspect it, look at it, look for fuzz, wax only the string portion, not the servings. The arrow rest should be inspected. It's very simple to unplug and replace. You take the Allen wrench that comes with the bow and push it out the back of the riser and pop the other arrow rest out, put a new one in. Watch for archer's habits, meaning shooting split finger tends to shorten the life of the rest. But shooting three under shortens the life of the rest. Shooting split finger will make it last longer, even though that's not the way it's taught in Nash. The bushings were changed back in 2019 to this Vertilite material. They're very easy to replace. Anybody ever replaced bushings here yet? Any problems, or was it okay? Good. Cable slides typically don't ever wear out, but keep an eye on them. I've seen a few crack over the years. In the factory, we don't use bow presses to build the bows. There's a fixture out there on the table. You back the wood bolts out 7 turns, and you can work on the bow very easily. Basically, there's very little that go wrong with the bow. But on occasion, there might be a weak limb, but not very often. Basically from this, you're going to want to inspect the cam and the wheel. If the archers do drop the bows, or if they bows have toes and they're applying pressure, they can damage the bushings. The riser is not very easily damaged, but if someone were to put it in a bow press, you could very easily damage the riser or bend the riser. We don't say this is the bow press. Axles should have very little maintenance done to them. Only if you leave the ball outside, exposed to moisture or whatnot, you could get some tarnishing. Other than that, you should never need to touch the bushings or the axles for the most part. Visual inspection, the quick cable connects. They could come loose if they do come into contact with anything else. It could possibly pop 1 or 2 off. It doesn't happen very often, but we've seen it happen. E-clips as well, those rarely will come off, but they could on occasion. The grip, of course, I've seen 1 or 2 damaged over the last 19 years. It's not very often you'll see a damaged grip. They can go, you can take them off. It's 2-part epoxy, and you just put a new one on with 2-part epoxy. Clips. Another thing, wood clips, those you should never have to replace those unless the bow's been damaged or left outside, tarnishing and whatnot. There's a quick commercial here. We'll try to get this going. There was audio here, right?
Yeah. It did last time. As a society, we're losing the ability to unplug from our devices, and we're suffering for it. Shorter attention spans, rising stress levels, less fulfillment. No wonder so many of us are trying to integrate healthy activities to restore focus in our lives. For millions of people, that activity is archery. Archery is active meditation because it requires all of your attention, both physically and mentally, effectively forcing you to set the phone aside. It helps you slow down, be present, and focus on one thing alone, your target. It's something you can do with the whole family, even at home, no matter your age or athletic ability. Plus, it's affordable to get going. As you let arrows fly, your confidence will soar. High-level archery archers have mastered the ability to ignore distractions and bring down anxieties under pressure. This allows them to synchronize their body and mind to tune in on a single objective. Looking for a way to unplug? Look no further. Build your own Genesis bow today.
That was a new animation. Anyways, that was a new animation project that was just done recently. Also got a couple of other things as well. Anything on genesisbow.com. On the online store, you can use the discount code NASB2021 and get 20% off free shipping anywhere in the lower 48 US states. And that's anything from the repair kits, which was designed back in 2018 at this conference, to apparel, to build a bow, anything you want on the website. That's all I have. Carrie?
Okay. Let me get my presentation up here.
Oh, sorry.
I'm a loud talker. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay. Okay. Awesome. You'll step out of the way so I don't trip over it. So, my name is Carrie Garrett. I work at Easton. I've worked there for about 16 years. I'm the National Archery Sales Manager. Easton actually has other divisions within our archery facility in Salt Lake City. We make tent poles for the military, North Base, Big Agnes. We also have medical contracts. We do a lot of medical tubing for robotic surgery, but our main focus is archery. Easton will actually be 100 years old next year, and a lot of people think we started out as a baseball bat company, but we really did start out as an archery company back in 1922. So the other thing is that the Genesis arrow is actually going to be 20 years old next year. So let's start with this. So let's see. So the Genesis arrow is made of the XX75 aerospace aluminum alloy. So we have about 3 different aluminum alloys that we use. This is one of the more sturdier ones. The shaft size is an 1820, and what that means is the 18 is the outside diameter of the arrow, and the 20 is the wall thickness of the aluminum. So 20 is probably the thickest wall of aluminum arrow that we actually make. That makes it more durable. The arrow is 30 inches long, it's fletched with 3-inch vanes, it's installed with an Easton and Nock. So a lot of you guys have been doing this for a long time. Remember, at one point, we only had one color, and it had a glue-on 9/32 Nock. Now there's 4 colors. So it was, when I was doing this presentation and kind of thinking back to when we only had one color, when we would send arrows for tournaments, we would have to send 4 different fletching combinations with 4 different Nock colors, and then the kids were responsible for remembering what their fletching color combination was when they went down to the target to score it. So now we started out, we actually added a second color of arrow, we added the orange, and now we have 4 full colors. The other thing is, with that Nock, well, I'll tell you guys that when we get there. The other thing is that we're most proud of is we are the only arrow manufacturer that actually makes their arrows in the United States. We have 2 factories. We have a factory in Salt Lake City. That's where they actually make the shafts. We make our aluminum shafts and carbon shafts there. And then I actually work at our Indiana facility. So they send them to us in Indiana, which is where we knock them, put the unibushings in, we point them, and we do all the fletching. So why the 1820 arrow? Why aluminum? Why not carbon? Why not wood? So the purpose of the arrow, when we worked with NASA to develop this, there was two kind of important things that we wanted to have. We wanted to make a safe arrow, and we wanted to make a durable arrow. We know that a lot of schools, that its budgets are tight, and they need that arrow to be durable and last a long time. So the thing with carbon is the kids would have to flex it, there's a chance of the carbon splintering, the same with a wooden arrow. So aluminum is more inherently safe, and we have been using that arrow for 19 years, and there's never been an accident with that arrow where someone's gotten hurt. So I think the safety record speaks for itself. So for shaft maintenance, you want to inspect the shaft. You want to look for any cracks, dents, or bends. If you find any of those defects, the best thing to do is just throw them away. There's really no way to repair any of those things. So Nock maintenance. You want to inspect the knock for any defects, including cracks, bends, or loose-fitting knocks. Or the other thing, like what I like to call them, the ears of the knock. Sometimes the ears of the knock will bend out and it won't fit on the string anymore. So in that case, you're just going to want to replace that knot. To remove the knock, most of the time you can pull it out with your hands. If you can't get it out, you can pull it out with pliers. If the knock is sheared off and it's in the shaft, we actually make what's called a universal knock tool. It's sold on our website, which you can put in there and screw it out. Or you can just buy a drywall screw and just screw it in there and it'll pull right out. Someone asked a question, if it's rattling around in the shaft, what should you do? And I said, probably should buy another arrow. So, and then, so the story that I wanted to tell you guys about that end knock. So when we first went to the unibushing versus the glue-on knock, we just decided to use our G-knock, which is what we put in a lot of our high-end target shafts. But what happened was, one of the steps is the kids listened for it to click onto the string. The G-knock didn't click. So it was created all of this, everybody's like, it doesn't click, it doesn't click. So it was really throwing the kids off because they were missing that step. So what we went back and we told our engineering department is we need a knock that clicks on the string. So basically they kind of took the technology of the G-knock, mirrored it with the attributes of the 932nd to where it clicked on the string, and that's where we came up with the end knock. So the end knock I think is available in 4 or 5 colors. We just added smoke this year, so that's available on the NAS website as an aftermarket accessory. We see a lot of kids at the tournaments that bring their own knock. Some of them don't like to shoot on the same target if the kid next to them is shooting the same color knock. So we sell a lot of replacement knocks. So vane maintenance. Before I start this, raise your hand if you got arrows this year that the vanes fell off and they were in the bottom of the box. Okay, so I'm gonna head this off in the past. We changed vanes at the very end of last year, of 2020. What was happening is we got a lot of complaints with the vanes that they would waffle, they looked like little wavy potato chips, or they were tearing or bending. So what we, again, going back to making these arrows as durable as possible, we worked with a new vane manufacturer. We work with Boning, which is, I would say, is a leading hunting vane manufacturer in the country. And we work with them to develop the 3-inch vane. When you feel them, you'll see that they're a lot thicker, they're going to be more durable. We did extensive engineering. We worked with our engineering department, we worked with NAS to make sure that the vane performed the same. Everything that, all the feedback we got and all the data that we have showed that it shoots the same, if not better. So what happened is we couldn't figure this out because schools were calling and they were saying that the vanes had just fallen off, they were in the box. And so we do extensive testing before the arrows leave. We actually do a 40-pound pull test on those vanes, which is pretty excessive for a vane. And we couldn't get them to pull off. So we were just like, well, maybe it's just kind of a random thing, or maybe it was like, we thought maybe it was a certain color arrow, and we could not figure it out. And then we worked with a vane manufacturer, and there was 2 problems. There was actually inconsistencies in the size of the base of the vane. So they fixed that, and we still had the problem. So then Boning actually found in their machinery, it was creating a nick in the base of the vane that no one could physically see. And what would happen is, as that arrow was traveling or sitting in a warehouse and going to you guys, air would get into that nick, and it would just pop the vane on. I don't know if you guys have ever, with this situation, normally when a vane falls off, there's glue residue on the shaft. And these were just as smooth as can be. So what was happening is the arrow was getting under there, the glue was adhering to the vane still, and they would just pop right off. So what we've done is, my contact information is on the bottom there. Most people have all already called us. We've replaced all the damaged vanes and all the damaged arrows. If you guys have it, you had some, if you have it, called us to let us know, just reach out to me, email me, and then I will get you in touch with Carissa, and we'll get you some new arrows, and we'll make it right. Boning actually rebuilt their entire machine. They have one machine that makes these vanes for us. So they rebuilt their machinery, and the problem is fixed and gone, and we're good to go. So that's that. So when you want to do your vane maintenance, you're going to want to inspect the vane for any defects, including loose vanes, vanes that do not adhere for the entire length. Sometimes you'll get a little flip on the end. If it's just at the end, a lot of times you can just put a dab of glue while it's still on the shaft and then just re-stick it. You don't have to like totally refletch it. The other thing is torn vanes or missing vanes. So with that, to replace or repair a vane, you want to make sure that your arrow shaft is clean and all the remnants of the previous vane have been removed. We recommend using what's called a zip strip. So it looks like this. I personally don't like to use a knife because I'm always afraid I'm going to cut my finger off if I do it. So you can just put this like this and just go like that and it'll scrape right off. We don't sell these, but you can go to Lancaster Archery and they sell them on their site. And it's just something that's a little bit safer than having a knife in your repair kit. So you want to also clean your shaft with either acetone or isopropyl alcohol to remove the dust, dirt, and oils from the arrow shaft. You want to make sure that shaft is as clean as can be so that you're going to have a nice clean surface for your vane to stick properly. You want to make sure your fletching jig is ready to accommodate your shaft. If you're using a clamp type fletching jig, place the vane in the clamp, but there's many types of fletching jigs out there. So Easton sells what's called an easy fletch. So it just comes out, you can stick your shaft. You don't have to do, you can do one vane, you can do 3 vanes, you can do 2 vanes. The gray one is where your index vane would go, and you just pop your arrow right in there. Easier said than done. And you can put your vanes like that. You're gonna load your vane in there, put a drop of glue on it, clamp it, put that clamp right back over it, let it sit for 2 minutes, and you're good to go. The other thing that we recommend is we have what's called a primer pen. On the base of every vane, there's an activator that's on there. So, but if I am holding these like this, I'm putting oil all over that and dirt. So we recommend using this Quick-On primer pen. Basically what it does is it cleans a vane, but it also cleans all of the oil or anything else that you put on there, and it also kind of awakens the activator that's on there, and it just will glue and adhere a lot better to the shaft. Those are sold on Nock's website, so is the fletching jig. All of everything that we use, like our point glue, our vane adhesive, all of that's sold on Nock's website. Once your vane is in the clamp, place a small continuous flow of glue on the vane, and then put the clamp on the arrow shaft and wait for the glue to adhere. Our glue, we recommend 2 minutes. Every glue is going to be different, so just make sure you read the manufacturer's instructions so you know how long you should let that glue sit. Point maintenance. Inspect the point for any defects, including a badly damaged point or a missing point. To repair a point, if the point is damaged or it's flattened down at the end, you can pull it out. Or if it doesn't pull out, you can heat it gently. Don't put your fingers on it after you heat it because you'll burn yourself. Done that before too. And then you can pull it out with that, and then you can just put more glue on it, place it back into the shaft. We also sell replacement points on the Nock's website as well. And then once you install it, make sure you take the rag to wipe any excess glue off so it doesn't kind of pull. If there's excess glue on there, when you put it in the target, it might pull out. So again, all replacement parts are available on the Nock's website for purchase. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay, sir.
With the new sticker vane, has that done anything to the life of the arrow rest?
So I don't believe so.
I've noticed that too. That's a great question. Because I've noticed that my arrow rest, the plastic pieces are coming off a little bit more, and I haven't replaced them more in the last year-ish.
Yeah, so these have only been out since December. So I don't know. I know. Yeah. Yeah.
I got that question yesterday. I didn't think what to do together.
So the John, yesterday, people were saying that the arrow rest was actually like almost like bending, like a dip in it. And I don't think that would be from the vane. If the plastic is coming off, I would make sure the kids are knocking the arrow right, because or the arrow right, if they don't have it knocked correctly on there, maybe it might do damage to the rest. I'm not sure. But I mean, like I said, we worked with NASP, we tested it. I mean, we didn't find anything like that, but I don't know that we necessarily looked for that, so. Yes,
Who was your vane manufacturer before you went to Boeing?
Vane Tech.
Boeing is very stiff. I mean, they're known for the 2-inch laser vane. The hunting industry is being very, very stiff.
Yeah, so, I mean, we would see so many arrows. There's someone here that actually went to Goodwill and bought an old flat iron, and they flat ironed their vanes. So to get rid of the waffling of the vane. So I'm not sure how if I recommend that, because I don't know, but yeah, these are a lot stiffer. They do, like I said, if anybody wants to see the engineering report or anything like that, I'd be happy to share it with you guys.
Can we still order the old vanes?
Yes, it's on the report.
And the other thing I've got is, when we take our arrows to the local archery shops, their fletching jigs usually set up at the helical, because that's what most people hunt with. Watch out for that when you're taking your arrows to get them fletched somewhere else, because we have to have that the offset, 2%
Right.
offset on these fletching when you refletch them yourself.
Yeah, and that's kind of, so that's, at our factory fletch, it's a 2 to 3 degree offset, I believe. But the girls, I mean, I have fletchers that have been there, that have worked in our factory for 30-some years. I've got one lady who can fletch 3,500 Genesis arrows in a day. It's awesome. If I were ever behind, I'm like, I need Beth. You put Beth on that for me, so. I know. So, but I do recommend, if you guys have, if you guys don't have that, you're all crunched for time, try to partner with a shop that will help you, if they can. If you're not sure if there's what shops are in your area, you can go to the Easton website. There's a dealer locator, and you can put your address in there, and it'll tell you how many shops are within a certain radius of where you're at. Another kind of a cool thing that I heard a school in Wisconsin did is they actually bought a small fletching table for one of their special needs classes, and they taught the special needs kids how to fletch. And then that class charged the archery team 50 cents an arrow, and then the special needs kids used that money to go bowling or for their Special Olympics or some of the different activities that they did, and they felt like that, and then just to give them that kind of pride in helping someone else at the school. So it was pretty cool. So, anything else? Yeah.
And the biggest concern I have, I'm very picky on the straightness of arrows.
Yeah.
So when I get the arrows, I spin them all and I grade them A, B, and C, and D. And I don't know if it's from the manufacturer, if it's in the shipping process, but about half of them have wobble to them.
So if you guys want to, I will say that the Genesis arrow is a plus or minus 5 arrow. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's not an Axis. It's not a X23 or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not like the straightest arrow in the world. It's for this program. But if you want to send them back, you can send them to our engineering and our quality control department. We do get people that will send them back and say that they're not straight. I would say less than 10% of the ones that are sent back are out of spec. So if you want to send it back to me. My contact information is there on the bottom, and we can work through that.
I suspect it's in the shipping, people throw them around. Because when my kids go buy them from Lancaster or from another archery shop, and they're being handled multiple times, very few of them meet my tolerance standards.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay.
I was going to go table to table to see if y'all have any questions about this. Just work with you one-on-one. That was okay. Don't find table.
Yeah, do whatever you want. The other thing, does anybody have any, while I'm up here, does anybody have any questions about the academic archery program? Nope. Yeah.
I don't have a specific one. What are you doing?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I don't have a specific question. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, so Easton is the sole sponsor of the academic archery program. What we want to do is we think it's important to recognize these kids not only for their archery excellence, but their hard work in school. We know that archery is somewhat of a tool for some of these kids to help them do better in school. And so any kid can be nominated for an academic archer. It's based on each local school district's criteria. So whatever your school district's criteria is to be on the honor roll or whatever that they call it, academic excellence, you guys, the coach or the principal, can nominate them as an academic archer. Couple things is then you can buy them patches. They get a patch. Everybody in Georgia gets a patch, and in Indiana they get a patch, and a lot of them wear them on their jerseys. The other thing is that they can get a certificate, and then we see a lot of schools that will then recognize them at their awards night. And a lot of these kids that do well in school already get recognized at an academic night, but they necessarily don't get recognized at a sports banquet. So don't ever underestimate the power of that piece of paper and a kid who's never been part of a team in going to the sports night, the sports awards night, because I get multiple kids that come up at a national tournament, or, you know, I'll get letters from parents or emails from parents about that their kid was so excited that they finally got to go to a sports event, and just to be included in that, I think is awesome. The other thing is every academic archer is entered into a random drawing. We give away, a sponsor of NASP actually donates 10 bows. We donate 10 dozen custom arrows that say 2022 academic archer, and then they're randomly drawn. We send them out. We ask them to send us a picture. We create a poster every year that's got those 10 random kids on it. We advertise that on social media. We have those posters at the tournament. And then at the national tournament, we recognize the top boy and girl in each division as academic archers. Whoever wins gets a $2,000 Easton prize pack, and they can buy anything from the Easton family of products. So Easton actually owns Hoyt bows, and we own Delta McKenzie targets. So they can get a Hoyt bow, they can buy whatever Easton arrows they want. They want to use the whole thing on X10s, they can buy X10s. And Delta McKenzie targets, they want to build a 3D range out of that. Anything that they want, they get $2,000 worth of product.
You guys, that's awesome.
Yeah. We just feel it's really important. So. Anything else? Okay. Don't forget, if you guys have the arrows with bad veins, email me and we'll get that taken care of. Okay? And we don't have any, we're all caught up on Genesis arrows. I got them like stacked up in the back warehouse. If anybody needs any, we're good to go. I can ship them right away. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't realize this was an issue, so in my team, I really didn't think anything of it. I don't know how many for sure I had, so is there anything?
Yeah, when did you get your arrows?
Beginning of last season. So
Of last season in 20. But I apologize, like my years are running together, like.
I might have had them around the first of this year.
So the first of this year, yeah. Yeah, you can just take a look at them when you get back to school and then just give me a shout if you find any.
Okay.
They'll be on the bottom of the box.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you, great question. So, every other year, we let the kids vote for a new color. We started doing that a few years back. I felt it was important for the kids to kind of have a say in the program and let them pick the color rather than us picking the color. So what we do is we'll have an online voting campaign because we want the PE kids to be as involved as possible as well. So we let the people do an online voting campaign. We'll like push it out through social media. We'll push it out to the coordinators. So watch for that probably at the beginning of this coming year. I think green is going to go away. It's the oldest one. So what we'll do is, since that's a light color, we'll make a selection of other light colors so y'all don't end up with 4 dark colors. So we'll let the kids vote. If anybody's ever been to the national tournament to kind of see how we do it, I take buckets and I put the shafts with the different colors in there, and I cover the buckets because the first year I didn't do that. Some people, if there wasn't, like they didn't have a lot of voting, they wouldn't vote for that even though they did, so we cover it. And then I have the kids drop a knock in the bucket of whatever color that they want to vote for, and they love it. And there'll be kids that will stand out in front and kind of politic for their colors. It's awesome, I love to see it. And then what we'll do is we will we'll announce that then at the championship tournament. because the voting will end at the national, and then we'll announce the color. Usually then what we do is we have the kids kind of register as they vote as well. So we'll send out like, we'll pick like 10 kids, and then those 10 kids will get the first of the new color. So yeah, so that'll be next year. Yes?
So with all the arrows that all these schools go through, is there anything that you can do with the old arrows?
Well, you can still, the original blue ones with the swedge down with the glue and knock, you can still use those.
So I mean, not like if they're being or something.
Oh, you can recycle them. Yeah, a lot of people will cut, I mean, I think you have to cut the vane end off, I don't even know. It just depends on your recycling place, but we recycle. I mean, if we damage any arrows at the factory on aluminum, we recycle them all.
What we do at my school is actually, we have some arrows that got like bent arrows that the tips are. I have a young man who is kind of nifty. He buys the inserts that go in like big pins, and he'll cut them and glue those big pins up inside them, and we sell them for $1 to $2 a piece at tournaments or fundraisers, just as a way to make money back.
Who else does that? Abraham?
So I had a girl, this was probably back when the World Tournament was actually at Disney World. She really wanted to go to the World Tournament. Her dad told her if she wanted to go, she had to earn half. So she bought one of our fletching jigs, and she sold pencils at school. She sold pencils out in front of Kroger. She sold pencils everywhere. And she actually earned enough. She was like, I think she was about a couple $100 short, but she earned half. So she actually got to go to Disney World to go shoot at the World Tournament. So it is pretty sweet. And who doesn't love a fletch pencil?
I started making metal holders for them. An arrow you can buy at Hobby Lobby for a temple and start cutting them out. Make arrows, cut the aluminum arrows and just gluing them in there so you can hang medals on them. I have pictures of those if anybody wants to see them.
That's pretty cool. Anybody else? All right, well, if you guys think of something, let me know. Okay, I got one more thing. So, probably a couple more things. I tend to talk a lot. So, we've been doing this for 19 years. Anybody have any idea, not made, but sold, not given away, but just sold, how many Genesis arrows we've sold over the past 19 years? Over 10 million Genesis arrows.
So if you put those,
How many miles? I happen to know that answer, sir. 4,700 miles worth of arrows. I don't know that one. There you go, yeah. 4,700. Now, somebody told me that, so if it's not right, you're a math major.
We have no answer middle school and high school. Well, for tournament, what we do is so like this year's tournament.
And then, so the other thing that Easton is very, very proud of, is, like we said, we're the only arrow manufacturer that makes our arrows in the United States. We're also the only, every medal that's been won at the Olympics since I think the 70s or 60s has been won with an Easton arrow. So if you watch also, right now on the women's team, she and Brady Ellison did the mixed team last night, is Mackenzie Brown. So Mackenzie Brown is from Texas. She actually started in NAS in 5th grade. So we had her at the national tournament a few years back, so I'm hoping that we can maybe convince her to come. Again, she always does a message for us prior to each national tournament. It's on our YouTube videos, and it's usually on our social media. But we think that's pretty cool. So, yeah. Yes.
You guys gonna do the custom orders again?
So I would love to do the custom orders. We'd really like to do that. So for you guys that don't know, usually in the fall, do we do it in December and February? Yeah, usually about December, February, we allow you guys to pick custom arrows. So you can pick whatever shaft you want and whatever color fletchings you want. And unfortunately, and not fortunately, right now we are in the archery industry has just taken off, and we are in a serious backorder situation. I wish I could make as many arrows as we want. Just to give you an idea, as pre-COVID, we had our carbon arrows are made on a pultrusion machine, which is to Union Process to Easton. We had 9, we're up to 26 machines, and we still can't keep up with the demand that we have. So I think it's a little bit twofold as we kind of changed some of our products, and we had some really good products that we came out with. And I think also that there's a resurgence in people wanting to buy products that are just made in the United States. So right now, unless things change, I'm not gonna be able to do it, but if they do change towards the end of the year, then we'll send something out and we'll let you guys know. But it's just really, really hard right now. We've got so many back orders on the hunting to be able to commit to doing that.